morning and welcome to St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in the Green Lake neighborhood of Seattle. I'm so glad you were able to be with us today. My name is Reverend Rebecca Kirkpatrick and I am the children's leader for this morning. This morning I want to talk about our Old Testament. Normally we talk about the Gospel, the New Testament, but today I want to talk about the Old Testament, and in fact the first book of the Old Testament. It's a story that comes from Genesis, and the story is about two brothers, Jacob and Esau. How many of you guys have brothers or sisters or siblings? I know I do. I'll show you a picture of my brother Jeff and I. There's a picture of us from when we were, when we were probably about 4 and 9 or maybe 5 and 10 there. So just like those of you who have siblings, I do too. And it isn't always easy growing up with siblings, is it? Sometimes you fight. Sometimes you don't agree on what you want. Sometimes you agree on what you want to play with and then you have to share. Sometimes it's just kind of rough out there to have a sibling. But sometimes it's pretty great. You have somebody to play with, someone who you can confide in, someone who is always there for you, somebody who you can grow up with. There are lots of good things about having siblings. Well, today's story is about two of those siblings, two brothers, Jacob and Esau, like I said, and they grew up as twins, which means that they were born at the same time in their mother's womb. And one was named Esau, and he was red and he was kind of hairy all over. And the other one was named Jacob, and he was pretty smooth skinned, which means he didn't have a lot of hair. They were born to a mom and a dad, Rebecca and Isaac. They grew up liking each other, but being different. Esau loved to hunt and be outdoors, and Jacob loved to cook and be indoors. If you have a sibling, is one of you more of an outside person and one of you more of an inside person? Or maybe you're an only child. Do you like to be both inside or outside or in between? Well, so there were these two brothers, and Esau being the firstborn, he had what was called the birthright. And so when his dad Isaac dies, he was to inherit all of the land and the money of his parents. So Jacob knew that Esau was pretty special and pretty favored, or at least that's what he thought. And Esau knew that he would have everything coming to him eventually one day. But one day Esau was out in the fields and he was working really hard to catch some food for that night. And Jacob, as usual, was at home cooking. And Jacob was making this wonderful stew, and Esau came in the doors famished, which means to be really hungry. And Esau was just like, oh, I will eat anything. And so Jacob was like, well, here you go. You can have this pot of stew. And Esau was like, thank you. And Jacob said, well, not so quickly. And Esau said, well, what would you like for this food? And Jacob said, I'd like your birthright. I'd like your place as the number one son, because you, Esau, were born right before I was, even though we're twins. So that means you get to inherit everything. So Esau, being really hungry, said, yes, you can have my birthright. So Jacob was super excited. They didn't tell the dad this, though. And one day the dad, who was pretty old and he was blind, he really couldn't see much, he called out to Esau and he said, Esau, go out and hunt and bring me some food back. And Rebecca, the mom, she heard this and she said to her son Jacob, well, now is your time. You need to go and get the birthright from and blessing from your dad, Isaac. So Rebecca contrives, she thinks up a trick, and she has Jacob dress up as Esau. So Jacob puts on all of this furry clothing and puts on some of Esau's clothes because Esau was kind of known as the stinky brother. So there was Jacob. He was kind of stinky and hairy, and he went up to his dad who was blind, and he said, "Dad, it's me, Esau." And he tricked him. And his dad gave Jacob the blessing instead of giving it to Esau. And of course, Esau came running back and saw what had happened, and he was really mad. Wouldn't you be mad too if your sibling tricked one of your parents out of something that rightfully belonged to you? Eventually, they forgave each other, and eventually life continued on, and Jacob became the blessed by God, and Jacob became the father of so many in the land. There's so many kinds of relationships of brothers and sisters and siblings in this world. And today I want to look at another one. It's by my favorite children's author. Her name is Judy Blume, and she writes a book called The Pain and the Great One. Let's take a listen. The Pain and the Great One by Judy Blume. My brother's a pain. He won't get out of bed in the morning. Mom has to carry him into the kitchen. He opens his eyes when he smells his cornflakes. He should get dressed himself. He's 6. He's in the 1st grade, but he's pokey. Dad always has to help him, or he'd never be ready in time and he'd miss the bus. He cries if I leave without him. Then Mom gets mad and yells at me, which is another reason why my brother's a pain. He's got to be first to show Mom his schoolwork. She says, ooh and ah all over his pictures, which aren't great after all, just ordinary 1st grade stuff. At dinner, he picks at his food. He's not supposed to get dessert if he doesn't eat his meat, but he always gets it anyways. When he takes a bath, my brother, the pain, powders the whole bathroom and never gets his face clean. Daddy says he's learning to take care of himself. I say he's a slob. My brother, the pain, is 2 years younger than me, so how come he gets to stay up as late as I do? Which really isn't that late for someone in 3rd grade anyway. I asked Mom and Daddy about that. They said, you're right. You are older. You should stay up later. So they tucked the pain into bed. I couldn't wait for the fun to begin. I waited and waited and waited, but Daddy and Mom just sat there reading books. Finally, I shout, I'm going to bed. We thought you wanted to stay up later, they said. I did, but without the pain, there's nothing to do. Remember that tomorrow, Mom said. But the next day, my brother was a pain again. When I got a phone call, he danced all around me, singing stupid songs at the top of his lungs. Why does he have to act that way? And why does he always want to be a garbage man when I build a city out of blocks? Who needs him knocking down buildings with his dumb old trucks? And I would really like to know why the cat sleeps on the pain's bed instead of mine, specifically since I'm the one who feeds her. That's the meanest of all. I don't understand how Mom can say the pain is lovable. She's always kissing him and hugging him and doing disgusting things like that. And Daddy says the pain is just what they always wanted. Yuck! I think they love him better than me. My sister thinks she's so great just because she's older, which makes Daddy and Mom think she's really smart. But I know the truth. She thinks she's great just because she can play the piano and you can tell the songs are real ones. But I like my songs better, even if no one can hear them. My sister thinks she's so great just because she can work the can opener, which means she gets to feed the cat, which means the cat likes her better than me, just because she feeds her. My sister thinks she's so great just because Aunt Diana lets her watch the baby and tells her how much the baby likes her. And all the time, the baby is just sleeping in my dresser drawer, which Mom has fixed up like a bed for when the baby comes to visit. And I'm not supposed to touch him, even if he's in my drawer and gets changed on my bed. My sister thinks she's so great just because she can remember phone numbers, and when she dials, she never gets the wrong person. And when she has friends over, they build whole cities out of blocks. I like to be garbage man. I zoom my trucks all around. So what if I knock down some of their buildings? It's not fair that she always gets to use the blocks. I told Daddy and Mom. They said, "You're right. Today you can use the blocks all by yourself." "Well, then I'm going to build a whole city without you," I told the great one. "Go ahead," she said. "Go build a whole state without me. See if I care." So I did. I built a whole country all by myself. Only it's not the funnest thing to play blocks alone, because when I zoomed my trucks and knocked down buildings, nobody cared but me. "Remember that tomorrow," Mom said when I told her I was through playing blocks. But the next day we went swimming. I can't stand my sister when we go swimming. She thinks she's so great just because she can swim and dive and isn't afraid to put her face in the water. I'm scared to put mine in, so she calls me a baby, which is why I have to spit water at her and pull her hair and even pinch her sometimes. And I don't think it's fair for Daddy and Mom to yell at me because none of it's my fault, but they yell anyways. When Mom hugs my sister and messes with her hair and does other disgusting things like that, and Daddy says the great one is just what we've always wanted, I think they love her better than me. The end. In today's story of the pain and the great one, and in Genesis' story of Jacob and Esau, we see two different kinds of sibling relationships, and there are so many others. Some of us have many brothers and sisters. Some of us only have brothers. Some of us only have sisters. Some of us just have ourselves as only children. But no matter what, God loves us. And God loves us equally, just like our parents do too. Let us remember that our family is who we have as we grow up. So may we be kind to one another. May we be kind to our siblings. May we be kind to our parents and to ourselves as we continue on in this world. I hope that you have a great week, and that if you have a sibling, that you'll do something kind for them this week. Maybe that's helping them to pick up their toys, or talking with them, or going out on a bike ride with them, or doing something that's just special and gives time with just them. Because life is pretty great when you get along with your siblings. And life is pretty great even if you don't have siblings, that you can always find a friend. And I hope that this week proves to be a really wonderful one for you. Have a great week, and I will see you next week. Bye.